sights are set upon the land we love. And vibes are the cue for me. Fight, fight, fight. I'll guard the planet like a shield for a night. So no, I won't stop fighting till it's over. Won't run away. And you can bet that Earth will keep on turning. I'm making sure it's safe. Join in the face of my fists are sturdy in their faith. They'll never shake. Ain't nobody stopping their burn. Show what we're made of. I'll change the future with my nerves to one that we deserve for the world.
Previously on Dragon Ball Shinken, thanks to a cunning plan by the angel Kari, Bola and Bulma, Vegito's daughter and wife, were kidnapped by Super Android 16 and Super Android 17 with the aim of perfecting the Cell Ultra project. But this was all part of Gogeta's plan, which takes Vegito and Gohan straight to the angel's private dimension with the aim of putting an end to him and his plans once and for all. Will Gogeta, Vegito, and Gohan be able to deal with Kari and his androids? Find out now. Episode 34, Killing Machines, Part 3. The entire private dimension of the evil angel trembled. The reason is Vegito, who releases his monstrous power at high intensity. His form combines the power of Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego, the result of his training with the angel and the god of destruction of his dimension. However, at this moment, it is the power of destruction that prevails in his energy aura and also in his heart and mind. The Saiyan is furious, and the target in front of him is Super 17, who is on the path of his revenge against Kari, who ordered the attack and kidnapping of his daughter. You better get out of my way, android, or I will destroy you without any mercy, Vegito warns. However, Super 17 seems sure of his decision, responding to the threat with a smile and saying that Vegito is very mistaken if he thinks he is just any opponent. Vegito doesn't warn twice. He reaches the android with an extremely powerful punch to the center of his body, creating an explosion of impact so strong that even Kari, who was behind 17, has to try hard to avoid being carried away. However, despite the strong attack he just received, Super 17 promptly reacts, surprising Vegito with a response attack to the middle of the face. 17's blow knocks the Saiyan to the ground and makes him slide for several kilometers, causing the destruction of the ground and also several trees in that forested part of the dimension. This guy is strong. Vegito recognizes it while wiping the trickle of blood that starts to drip from his mouth. However, the Saiyan warrior is not frightened. Advancing again against the android who advances against him, the shock power of their bodies is insanely high, opening up considerable cracks even in the tough ground of that dimension. After the first collision, a fervent exchange of blows begins, with man and android launching thousands of attacks per second, blows filled with colossal power making the entire dimension vibrate. Kari watches Vegito and Super 17's confrontation with a confident smile. He reflects, Super 17 is certainly the strongest android of the extermination team, and also the strongest that Android 21 and I have ever created to date. His power almost matches mine, an angel. He will certainly be able to hold off Vegito for as long as necessary. Gohan and Super Android 16 also clash as they move frantically through the skies of that place, flying quickly while delivering even faster blows to each other. Gohan uses the power of his beast form, trying to direct his fury and power in such a way that it overwhelms the android's movements. In this dimension, Gohan has never met Android 16, so there's no hesitation on his part to destroy this enemy. However, despite Gohan's real desire to destroy his opponent and the fact that he is sparing no effort, Super 16 remains fully in combat, dodging, defending, and perfectly resisting the Saiyan's attack. At one point, 16 gains the advantage in the exchange of blows, overlapping Gohan's attacks with his own and forcing him to retreat through the sky as he tries to defend or dodge. After avoiding multiple attacks, Gohan inevitably ends up being hit by one, receiving an ultra-strong kick that sends him sprawling onto the ground. But 16 doesn't stop there and lands with a direct knee on Gohan's body, burying him several several meters in that resistant ground and causing intense pain to the man. Then 16 removes one of his hands and after pointing his half arm at him, releases a completely overwhelming wave of power which creates multiple fissures and holes in the ground. Kari watches Gohan and Super Android 16's fight with intrigue, thinking the following: Super 16 may not be as strong as Super 17, but he is still an extremely powerful android. However, I heard that this boy named Gohan defeated Vod, and although Vod was considered one of the weakest among the angels, he was certainly more powerful than Super 16. So it's strange that the Saiyan is having such a disadvantage. Perhaps he destroyed Vod in a moment of distraction, as he was proud to the point of underestimating this boy. Kari convinces himself on this deduction he just made, then smiles confidently. Yes, of course. Even though he is Vegito's son, I doubt that someone so young has surpassed Vod's power. This boy certainly won due to that idiot's fault. Super 16 will definitely win this fight. Gogeta is distracted for a moment out of concern for Gohan, and Super Android 13 tries to take advantage of this by coming at him with a sequence of attacks, but they are all dodged by Gogeta. Seeing a chance, he counterattacks Super Android 13 with a strong blow, but to his surprise the android resists well and retaliates soon after with another blow, defended by Gogeta. It seems like you are definitely not like those three guys, Gogeta comments, referring to androids 13, 14, and 15. Indeed, I'm not, Super Android 13 responds, and then exclaims, I was created from the main parts of androids 13, 14, and 15. Therefore, I represent all their power and combat knowledge in a single system. But beyond that, the creator of these three androids had an evolution in her knowledge, so she was able to make me even more powerful than I would be if I simply added the power of those three. Dude, you talk too complicated, Gogeta complains. Just say that you are stronger than the power of those three guys combined, and you also have the same knowledge as them. Super 13 confirms this summary given by Gogeta, and adds that in addition to being stronger than those three, he knows Gogeta's combat style better, as he had their experience from that fight. Although Super Android 13's intention with these statements is to intimidate Gogeta, the effect is the opposite, as it makes him excited and says that at least this fight should be more fun. Kari watches this fight while thinking, originally 13, 14, and 15 were the least powerful of my extermination team, although they were far from being considered weak, but Super 13's power exceeds even that of Super 16 thanks to the sum of their powers of the three androids, and also to the improvements that were made by Android 21 after acquiring the intelligence of that woman called Bulma. If we had a little more time, this android could even surpass Super 17. You better not underestimate this opponent, Gogeta, or you will be eliminated. While these fights take place on the outskirts of the technological fortress, inside the fortress, Android 21 works diligently on the ultimate project. It's almost ready, she says anxiously. The battle between Vegito and Super 17 reaches a new level of intensity, with both combatants exchanging powerful blows in a chaotic dance of attacks. Each punch, kick, and blast of energy creates shockwaves that reverberate throughout the evil angel's private dimension. Super 17's eyes glow with intense red energy, which manifests into a laser beam powerful enough to open a line of destruction, the depth of an abyss even on the extremely hard ground. Fortunately, Vegito dodged that attack and responded with nothing less, releasing a torrential wave of power of destruction with the capacity to destroy two entire common-sized universes. However, 17 had a defense capable of dealing with this, forming a resistance energy shield around him that received the full power of Vegito's attack head-on, but not without being severely shaken by all that destructive power. Vegito disappears for a brief moment, then reappears above Super 17 to complement the first attack by launching a sequence of energy beams that explode when they hit the android's shield, and eventually destroy it, throwing Super 17 against the ground, accompanied by a series of explosions. But Super 17 doesn't take long to respond, taking to the skies with extraordinary power to land a devastating punch capable of drawing a handful of blood from the Saiyan. Holding Gohan by his white hair, Super Android 16 carries him through the sky until they reach a mountain, where Gohan's face is smashed hard against the rocks. Then Super 16 repeats the movement, compulsively hitting Gohan's face against the rocks, until the Saiyan finally reacts by turning around, elbowing the android, forcing him to let go, and then pointing his hand at Super 16's face and fire an energy wave at close range that completely engulfs the android's head. But Super 16 doesn't suffer more than a few scratches from that attack, and immediately retaliates with a wave of power that not only engulfs Gohan's entire body, but also the entire mountain. The mountain is completely destroyed by Super 16's energy, while Gohan, despite keeping his body intact, falls from the sky to the ground, seriously injured. As he stands up, he greatly regrets his weakness. Damn, I have to get past this guy to save my sister, but I just can't. Super Android 16 lands in front of him, ready for more. Gohan advances against Super 16, trying to push him, with both interlocking their hands in a contest of strength. But this contest soon reveals its winner, with the android bringing the Saiyan to his knees while bending his hands with his superior strength. Frustration takes over Gohan, who suffers more from his weakness than from physical pain. Once the man is on his knees, the machine hits him with a sharp knee to the face, causing a serious stun. After that, he grabs the Saiyan's big hair and hits a second knee, which is much stronger than the first. Then the android frees him, and Gohan gets up with difficulty, trying to walk away with staggering steps because of the strong impact he suffered. But cloudier than Gohan's vision is his heart, which now more than ever yearns for power. Power! I need more power! Now the android advances with a punch endowed with titanic strength. The power of the blow is such that the pressure exerted by the impact alone knocks countless trees away from the forest around them. Gohan is thrown several miles away, digging through the hard rocks of a mountain and remaining buried in the center of the immense rocky body. Now will be the end of you. Super Android 16 brings his two hands together, beginning to concentrate a gigantic amount of energy, clearly preparing his final attack. However, the android stops when suddenly that entire gigantic mountain is imploded with an explosion of energy that reveals an abysmal power. A powerful air current passes through that entire place, carrying trees, rocks, and even parts of the ground. Even the powerful android has to make an effort not to be carried away by the devastating force. From the center of that storm of energetic power, Gohan is revealed, who now manifests his frightening final form, facing his enemy with a completely serious look that exudes a great thirst for blood. Gohan warns the android, "You better prepare yourself, because now you will feel a power that not even an angel could rival." While working on her supercomputer at incredible speed to complete the Cell Ultra project, Android 21 feels the entire fortress shake thanks to the insane power of the fighting taking place outside. Incredible! The entire structure of this fortress was created by Lord Campari himself, an angel. But even so, the pressure exerted by the fights taking place outside is shaking the structure of this place. But despite her astonishment, Android 21 is completely confident, as the work is almost complete. Now manifesting the power of his final form in a gigantic aura of energy, Gohan shakes the balance of the entire environment around him. Feeling that extraordinary power that suddenly appeared, Campari is completely shocked, especially after discovering that the one who possesses this power is Gohan, who until a few seconds ago he believed to be much weaker. This power can be equated to that of an angel. Campari recognizes, scared, so he continues his fierce fight against Android 17. Vegito feels Gohan's power and smiles, proud of his son. Finally, he released his full power, like I always told him to do. Super 17 is very surprised when he feels Gohan's energy and says he never imagined he would have so much power. The power that had just appeared on the battlefield also catches the attention of Gogeta and Super Android 13, who for a moment stop fighting to assimilate what is happening. Very good, boy, Gogeta praises in a low voice. Contemplating the power his enemy has just revealed, Super Android 16 tenses for the first time, displaying some expression other than the constant indifference he usually expresses. He attacks first, launching a wave of concentrated power against the Saiyan, but it is repelled by the aura that surrounds Gohan, who then counterattacks by advancing against the android at such a high speed that it distorts space-time. Gohan's blow is an elbow that hits Super 16 with such force that it causes a crack in his extremely rigid body. But much worse, cracks are the ones that spread across the ground, cracking the entire ground around them at huge depths because of the great pressure that this blow released. Super 16 retaliates with a punch to Gohan's face, who receives the attack with incredible resistance, barely moving his face, and then responds with a punch hundreds of times more powerful, taking Super 16 off the ground and sending him with such speed that tears the fabric of space-time as it travels an extraordinary distance, moving light years away from Campari's technological fortress. But Gohan doesn't sit still. He pursues the enemy in the form of a ray of light, reaching him in a fraction of a second, this time with a flying attack that dents the android's body even more. With his eyes wide with disbelief, Campari watches his powerful android being simply massacred by the young Saiyan, whose power he recently underestimated and despised. Super 16 is sent back to the location, hitting Campari's technological fortress, crossing it, and then falling to the ground, opening a gigantic crater in it. At this point, the android's body was already completely cracked, but it is finally destroyed once and for all when the Saiyan comes from the sky with a super powerful stomp, hitting the center of 16's body while shattering the body of that ultra-resistant battle machine as a glass that falls to the floor. The android's head is the only part of it that remains intact, spinning through the air and then rolling across the ground. Gohan approaches Super 16's head, who recognizes his superiority. "Your name is Gohan, right? I must admit that I underestimated your power, but you totally surpassed me. Congratulations." Gohan's response is to mercilessly stomp on Super 16's head, which is entirely crushed and destroyed. Gohan, who was previously overcome with fury, now seems to come to his senses. However, surprisingly, he maintains the transformation, something that didn't happen before. "I did." He celebrates. However, not everything is a reason to celebrate. Looking at the fragments of the android around him, he regrets having let himself be consumed by rage and not giving his enemy the chance to surrender. However, he knows he doesn't have time to mourn now. Looking at the fortress in front of him, he flies towards it to rescue his half-sister. Kari sees this and then intervenes, disappearing from where he is and reappearing in Gohan's path. "If you think you will interfere with my plans, you are very mistaken, Saiyan brat," the angel shouts. Gohan gets into a fighting stance. "Just as I defeated Vod, I will defeat you." Vegito is in the middle of the fight against Super 17 when he sees Kari going at it against Gohan. "I'm the one who will destroy this bastard," he says, jealous of his son's opponent. Vegito holds one of Super 17's attacks and throws him away. Super 17 stops in the air and, seeing that the Saiyan was already coming to continue attacking, shouts, "Flash Bomber!" After Super 17 shouts the name of his technique, it manifests itself in the form of countless energy rays that emanate from the body towards Vegito. Despite the onslaught of energy beams, Vegito refuses to retreat. Instead, he continues to advance, skillfully dodging each beam with the remnants of Ultra Instinct power still at his disposal. Vegito advances until he finally reaches Super 17. However, when he was finally going to counterattack, he is surprised when the machine removes one of his hands and fires a sequence of projectiles. This surprises Vegito, who is directly hit by the shots. The shots do not cause significant damage to the Saiyan's body, however they are just a distraction to open the gap for a powerful punch from Super 17 to enter. Vegito feels the intensity of his opponent's punch, but his determination doesn't waver. He uses his incredible speed to dodge the android's next strike and counterattack with a series of rapid punches and kicks. The battle in the sky reaches a new height of speed, with the two fighters appearing as blurs of energy, leaving luminous trails in the air. The evil angel's private dimension continues to shake with the energy released in that confrontation. Gohan and Kari's fight has begun. Saiyan and Angel travel through the skies of that dimension at extraordinary speed, in the form of blurs of light crossing each other's path, colliding attacks of colossal strength that cause intense tremors throughout the dimension. In this fight, Gohan is at a disadvantage because Kari possesses Ultra Instinct, granting him greater defensive capabilities. Despite Gohan's struggle to match Kari in resistance, strength, and speed, the Angel still outshines him in technical skill. Holding back a punch from Gohan, Kari maneuvers him in the air and launches the Patroller Saiyan against a mountain, which is completely shattered by the power of the impact of the collision, even though it is an extremely resistant rock that is part of an Angel's private dimension. Then Kari extends his hand towards the location of the enemy's fall and releases a torrential blast of energy whose destructive power extends for several kilometers, destroying almost the entire forest close to the fortress in the center of the dimension. That attack definitely hurt Gohan, but he still didn't shy away, remaining determined to never give up. Gohan's face shows signs of effort, but his eyes remain focused and determined. He channels his energy, raising his power to the maximum. Kari, noticing Gohan's persistence, smiles dismissively. He quickly moves towards the injured Saiyan, unleashing a series of precise and quick blows. Gohan blocks some, but is unable to avoid them all. Each impact reverberates through his body, causing intense pain. With one agile movement, Kari disappears and reappears behind Gohan, grabbing him by the neck. The evil angel smiles and whispers in the young Saiyan's ear, "Your power is truly incredible, boy. I'm not surprised that you defeated Vod. However, there is a considerably big difference between me and Vod, since unlike the airhead, I don't let my emotions easily take control of my mind in combat, and that makes my Ultra Instinct much more accurate than his." Kari starts squeezing Gohan's neck hard, who screams in agony, "I will destroy your neck and kill you," and then Vegito will be completely out of control. Vegito's fury grows as he continues to fight with Super 17. He now sees Kari crushing his his son's neck and wants to do something about it, but the android simply won't let him. At a peak of impatience, Vegito suddenly increases his speed and strength to advance with a series of attacks that punish Super 17's entire body, who receives all of the Saiyan's blows, clearly feeling them all. "You worm, get out of my way!" Vegito concentrates a high amount of force in one of his hands and finishes his sequence with a punch dozens of times more powerful that launches Super 17 far away. After pushing the enemy away, Vegito puts his fingers to his forehead to teleport to Gohan and Campari, but he is surprised when Super 17 reaches a surreal peak of speed, moving from where he was to in front of him in the blink of an eye, grabbing his arm to prevent teleportation. "What speed is this?" Vegito exclaims in shock. But it's not just the speed that has increased. Vegito experiences an immense increase in the android's strength, which strikes his abdomen with such extraordinary force that it simply temporarily cracks the walls of that reality, while making the Saiyan feel all his muscles and internal organs being crushed by the pressure exerted outside and inside his body. Finally, Super 17 places one hand on this chest and unleashes a beam of energy that propels Vegito light years away, triggering an explosion of titanic proportion. This explosion possesses enough power to potentially annihilate multiple universes in one fell swoop. Gogeta exchanges blows against Super 13 while all this happens, and he is completely amazed by those last attacks from Super Android 17, noticing that his power has suddenly grown absurdly. As he continues to strangle Gohan, Campari forms a proud smile on his face as he explains that in addition to being absurdly powerful since his conception, Super Android 17 also has a special mechanism that allows him to absorb the energy of his opponents when receiving attacks, whether physical or energy attacks. This way, Super 17 can increase his power almost unlimitedly. After explaining this, Campari puts even more pressure on Gohan's neck, which is getting closer and closer to breaking. "Say goodbye to your life, son of Vegito." However, Gohan is not willing to be subdued so easily. "You scoundrel, don't think you're going to defeat me like that." He uses his remaining strength to free himself from Campari's grip, surprising the angel with a sudden release of energy that makes his hand release from his neck and pushes him away. Gohan's energy aura gains a different intensity, and his body begins to undergo some changes. His muscles swell, his speed increases, and his strength reaches an astonishing level. "You underestimate the true power of a Saiyan," Gohan proclaims, exuding ferocity in his gaze. Campari is perplexed by this, wondering if Gohan has already managed to evolve his powers and achieve another transformation in such a short period of time. No, it's definitely not a new transformation. The angel concludes after taking a better look. This power that he is releasing now belongs to the same transformation, only before he was unable to access this power. In other words, the transformation was incomplete. Campari takes his combat stance, preparing for something more serious. In any case, the fact is that he will attack with more power now. Gohan launches a beam of concentrated energy towards Campari. The angel dodges quickly, but the resulting explosion opens a gap. Gohan takes the opportunity to launch a combined attack of punches and kicks, causing Campari to retreat. The exchange of blows continues, but now Gohan shows renewed aggression. Returning from the long distance he traveled, thanks to Super Android 17's attack, Vegito moves at abysmal speed while girded by a powerful energy aura of destruction. Taken by a murderous fury, the Saiyan reaches the android, waiting for him for a collision of surreal proportions, creating an explosion of impact so brutal that it destroys the fabric of space-time around them, sending them both temporarily to an alternate dimension. In this new dimension, the two strike each other voraciously, with each blow containing a notorious murderous twist, especially Vegito, who at this moment is almost completely consumed by the power of destruction. As he fights, all he can think about is how, because of Campari, his daughter was hurt and kidnapped, and now his son has to suffer too. Vegito wants that damn angel's blood on his hands, but this android is in the way. In a moment, Super 17 moves away and launches a globe of black energy outlined by intense bursts of red electricity at Vegito. Vegito responds with a Big Bang attack. When the energies collide, the explosion causes that parallel dimension to shake violently. After that, the physical fight continues with a series of attacks and counterattacks, each more powerful than the last. That dimension can barely support this fight anymore, being on the verge of collapse. The Saiyan's attacks hit Super 17 brutally, genuinely damaging the android's body. On the other hand, the stronger the attack he receives, the more Super 17 becomes stronger. At this point, Vegito is consumed by the desire for destruction, to such an extent that he has lost all ability to use Ultra Instinct. Consequently, as he strikes Super 17, he is simultaneously struck by the enemy. With each passing second of the fight, the attacks of both combatants grow stronger and more devastating. As much as he is also suffering from this fight, Super 17 17 laughs and says, "You idiot. You fell for it hook, line, and sinker, right into Lord Campari's plan. You let negative feelings consume you, and because of that you lost one of your main abilities and became weak." Super 17 lands a solid punch on Vegito's chest, a punch that is so strong that it hits his heartbeat. Realizing this, Super 17 sees an opportunity and smiles. As they continue exchanging blows, Super 17 says that even though he also suffers a lot from this fight, at least he's getting stronger and stronger with each blow he received, in addition to not getting tired because of his infinite energy. On the other hand, Vegito only gets tired and weakens with each passing second. Finally, seeing another gap, the android attacks with a devastating blow, a clear punch to Vegito's heart that would certainly stop the organ from working. But to Super 17's complete shock, Vegito resists this attack incredibly well. At that moment, he takes advantage of the android's fright to hold his arm, and with his other fist, coated in the energy of destruction, impales Super 17 with his arm. Not believing what just happened, Super 17 asks how Vegito had enough resistance to resist his blow like that, and also enough strength to damage his body this way. Vegito responds by explaining that Super 17 is not the only one capable of strengthening himself as he fights and receives attacks. In the same way that you grow stronger as you absorb the energy of my attacks, I also grow stronger as my drive for battle increases, thanks to the desire for destruction that burns in my heart. In other words, while you thought only you got stronger, I got even stronger. Through his arm that pierces Super 17's body, Vegito channels his energy of destruction into the android's body, which begins to inflate bizarrely. Super 17 screams in despair, begging for Vegito's mercy or for help from his master Campari. Facing the enemy mercilessly, Vegito says that nothing and no one will save him from his wrath. Gohan and Campari's clash unfolds in full swing. The evil angel's private dimensions become the stage for an epic battle, where every blow and every blast of energy echoes like thunder. Campari is fascinated by Gohan's bravery and determination, as well as his power. "You're amazing, boy. The more you fight with me, the more you evolve at an excellent pace. I must admit that Saiyans are really fascinating." However, Campari soon regains control of the battle, putting pressure on Gohan, who despite trying hard, is unable to overcome the enemy's advantage. However, angels are still a superior race, Campari concludes. He focuses his energy, forming a glowing sphere in the palm of his hand. With precise movements, he unleashes a devastating energy beam towards Gohan. Initially, Gohan dodges the attack, but Campari's energy beam relentlessly pursues him, eventually striking the patroller. The impact culminates in an overwhelming explosion that fills the sky with a dazzling light show. Gohan falls from the sky, unconscious and seriously injured. From a distance, Campari extends his hand to him, preparing the final attack. With his death, I'm sure that Vegito, who is already out of control, will be even more consumed by hatred, and this will weaken him. But Campari's speech is interrupted when an explosion of cosmic proportions invades his dimension. That explosion was the result of Vegito's final attack on Super Android 17, who finally imploded after having his body invaded by an absurd amount of the Saiyan's destructive power. The destructive power of this attack was so surreally great that it ended up destroying the entire dimension where Vegito and Super 17 were, and now it invades Campari's dimension, completely shaking its structures. Campari now contemplates Vegito, who, having finished destroying the android, now turns his full attention to him, displaying immeasurable power. Mouth open, Campari asks how Vegito reached that level with only the power of destruction and excluding Ultra Instinct. He answers, "Haven't you, angels, at this point realized that it's a bad idea to irritate a Saiyan?" Vegito's aura of power expands, and the power released by it is so massive that it makes the angel's heart vibrate with fear. Filled with a thirst for blood and destruction, Vegito says, "Now, angel, suffer the consequences of provoking a Saiyan's fury," in the form of a ray of purple light. Vegito reaches Campari before he can react, delivering a powerful elbow between the angel's chest and pushing him a gigantic distance. While charged by the enemy's blow, Campari vomits his own blood, appalled by his astonishing strength. The fight between Gogeta and Super Android 13 also remains, but now Gogeta is much calmer. It seems like Vegito is motivated enough, and I don't need to worry about Gohan anymore. I can finally concentrate on this guy for real. His body moves with superhuman grace, deftly dodging Super Android 13's precise attacks. Super Android 13 doesn't give up easily. He continues to pressure Gogeta with a string of powerful attacks, combining punches and kicks attacks in quick succession. However, Gogeta, with his incredible dexterity, dodges each blow, demonstrating an unparalleled mastery in the art of dodging. Seeing an opportunity, Gogeta counterattacks. He unleashes a strong blow, channeling a massive amount of energy into his fist, which hits the enemy while also being felt throughout the dimension in the form of an intense tremor. However, Super Android 13 not only resists the blow, but also counterattacks almost simultaneously, proving his great resilience. The fight proceeds frantically, with each punch and kick generating waves of energy that shatter the ground and surrounding structures. Gogeta's expression becomes more serious as he realizes that Super Android 13 is a formidable opponent. The android in turn emits a mechanical laugh, revealing his deep desire to eliminate the one who was responsible for the destruction of his 3 predecessors. His brute strength and mechanical resistance become evident, leaving Gogeta momentarily surprised. Super 13 throws a powerful punch, which Gogeta blocks with difficulty. The impact makes the fusion warrior recoil a little, astonished by the android's great strength. Super 13 gives the opponent no room to recover and immediately launches a sequence of quick and precise blows, putting Gogeta's agility and skill to the test. This guy really knows my fighting style because of the battle I had against those other 3 androids. I intentionally prolonged that combat to feign distraction while the other guy captured Bola. As a result, I took too long to finish the battle and ended up revealing my movements. In a peculiar and absolutely surprising move, Super Android 13 blocks a kick from Gogeta, and holding his leg, lands a sharp punch between the Saiyan's legs, who feels the android's hand crush his sensitive region. "Ouch, my balls!" Gogeta yells as he recoils himself with his hand on the affected area. Taking advantage of this trickery move, Super Android 13 moves to Gogeta's back and grabs him, exerting a violent constriction force that begins to crush the Saiyan. Super 13 boasts by saying the following: "I know all of your moves, so even if your fighting style is naturally surprising, it won't affect me." Angered by the blow he just received, Gogeta simply makes his neck rotate in such a way that his head ends up on his back, and then he spits a wave of energy from his mouth that hits Super 13 squarely in the face, forcing the android to free him and move away. After doing this, Gogeta uses a surprising ability where he makes 4 small portals appear around the android, and from each of these portals a hand comes out, which grabs Super 13's legs and arm. "What skill is this?" the android questions in complete surprise. Gogeta explains, "The data you have about me only refers to the battle I had against androids 13, 14, and 15. However, I have a multitude of powers and abilities that I never used in the fight, since those 3 were insignificant compared to me. Therefore, what you are able to predict is nothing compared to all my techniques." Gogeta makes a sudden movement to open his arms, and in a single pull, the 4 extra hands he created rip off Super 13's arms and legs. After that, Gogeta makes 2 larger arms appear from 2 other portals that surround Super 13 from the sides, and these 2 hands meet him in the middle with a double punch that crushes and shatters the android's entire body. And finally, Gogeta extends one of his hands and completely disintegrates the smallest remaining pieces, making any new reuse impossible. "It was fun while it lasted, but that low blow really pissed me off," he says as he claps both hands together in a cleaning gesture. Kari is carried by Vegito while receiving a barrage of angry attacks from him, finally being hit by a stronger blow that throws him against the ground and makes the angel open a huge crater. In the center of the crater, he agonizes in pain as he stands up. "Damn, this bastard's power is unbelievable! Now I know what Vados suffered at the hands of that bastard." Kari then looks at Gogeta, irritably discovering that Super Android 13 has been destroyed. I already expected that Super 13 wouldn't defeat Gogeta, but I was hoping he would last a little longer. He looks at his fortress and wonders if it's long before Android 21 finishes her work. Vegito lands in the crater opened by Kari, making it clear on his face that despite the many blows he has already landed on the angel, he is still far from satisfied. He keeps his gaze fixed on his opponent while telling Gogeta to go to the fortress and see what's happening. Kari gets irritated by that. He would like to stop Gogeta, but with Vegito in front of him, unfortunately he can't. Gogeta prepares to go to the fortress, which due to his stratospheric speed was less than a second away. However, he gives up going when a super powerful explosion sends that entire huge fortress flying, obviously surprising them all. Vegito despairs when he remembers his daughter. "No, Bulla was there. That explosion definitely killed her." From the smoke of this explosion, a new being appeared, with the unconscious android 21 in one of its hands, carried by the neck. Contemplating the one who had just appeared, Campari starts laughing. "You poor things, you almost succeeded, I admit, but now your defeat is complete." The evil angel screams with joy. Gogeta, despite noticing the differences, knows that being very well. Cell looks down at everyone present on the battlefield, says that the time has come for all of them to feel true despair. Even after all the Saiyans' efforts and the victories they achieved on the battlefield, Campari's plans came true, and Cell Ultra finally awakened. But why did Cell Ultra attack Android 21? Who was supposed to be an ally? What happened to Bola? Find out in the next episodes of Dragon Ball Shinken.